Alrighty then. Hello everybody. Welcome to the live stream today. I was gonna do a video on this, but to be honest, I kind of just want to get out of the way in like a stream and like talk to you guys in like a live feedback kind of way. Additionally, I also have a podcast I got to edit up tonight and into tomorrow. Honestly, it's probably gonna be a tomorrow morning project for the next episode of the Vashtorr podcast. Fingers crossed I'm able to get it up on YouTube before I head to work tomorrow. Worst case scenario, it ends up on Thursday. That being said, today we'll be talking about Trench Crusade, which, full disclosure in my case, personally, I heard about Trench Crusade about a couple months ago to a year ago, I think. Feels closer to a few months ago, though. I'd say within a 6-month period. And I got a small breakdown of it from one of the members of my community. I believe it was from a member of my community, Kaiju. He mentioned it to me, kind of throughout some of the ideas of it, and it looks cool. It looks cool, and the whole idea of it being kind of like a World War I or like II kind of vibe with like trench warfare, but the idea is like the Templars unleashed hell onto the world, and then there's like eldritch horror. Like the very general knowledge I have of it is interesting. But before we get into it, welcome to Havoc into the chat. How you doing? First post, yeah. Michigan Yankee, howdy boys. How are you, Michigan Yankee? Dial C4, I backed it on Kickstarter. Nice. Hopefully it doesn't fall. Matthew Gordon, howdy. Matthew Gordon, I watched a bando vid on it. It sounds super good. I mean, from what I was told of it, word to mouth, I haven't seen any videos on it or anything. But from what I was told, word to mouth, it is fascinating. And aesthetically, like, you just look up like the images and stuff, some of the miniatures, the artwork is beautiful. It just oozes grimdark in some of the best ways possible. Also a little bit of like eldritch horror, but again, that's part of grimdark oftentimes. So I do really like the look of it. It looks fantastic. I mean, yeah. some of these like artworks are even feel like something like H.R. Geiger, tongue-tied, would have potentially done for artwork. It's beautifully horrific, and I love it. It's awesome looking. And we're at Snowman, welcome to stream. We can run to new hobby properties, but at some point we need to... Well, that's the thing I wanted to talk to you guys about, and that's kind of more the focus of the stream, less so like this news. Because right now, it's a little bit clickbaity to say this, that the woke have come sniffing, is what I have been... what I would describe this as. Less so, like, it's actually... It hasn't fallen to the woke. It hasn't even come out yet. But yeah, like, my friend Wheezy Pillar has reported on it, and he said, Trench Crusade, the new battleground for the culture war. Hopefully that's a bit hyperbolic. That's my fingers crossed kind of thing, is like, hopefully the devs and the people putting Trench Crusade together are going to completely ignore any push from either side, mind you. Like, the culture war, the culture stuff, should, like, real world stuff, should not be added to a fictional setting. Like, period. I don't care if it's right-leaning, I don't care if it's left-leaning. Keep it the fuck out of a given hobby or universe, especially if it's a grimdark. I mean, who the fuck goes to a grimdark for morals and for, like, ethics being, like, you know, parroted out back at them? You've completely missed the point if you go to a grimdark setting and for that stuff. It's ridiculous. So, yeah. But Trench Crusade has unfortunately caught the eye of the woke. For those who know Demon Fae Shay, Shay is a clown. That's probably the nicest way I could probably put it. Welcome, Judge Cohen. Shay is a clown and a grifter. Stays on the left, but she like grifts to topic. And from like hobby to hobby, like wherever she can like push left-leaning bullshit, she will. But yeah, that's Shay. And again, total clown. I actually love watching them fumble, because here's the thing, Faye is one of those people who has like power, quote unquote, on Twitter and in like the Twitter sphere. But the funny thing is, I've seen her like go on a couple YouTube channels and stuff like that, and every time she's exited Twitter, whatever she touches burns, like it lights on fire. It's beautiful to watch. It's a total clown show. But that aside, she and many others have caught this person ATSRF to the point that it's trending. Trench Crusade is actually trending on Twitter, sadly. Again, sadly. Now, for a lot of our crowd, it's trending for the right reasons, but it's also been trending because some of the woke are trying to jump on it. I cannot show that on YouTube. Holy crap, let me scroll back up. But, yeah. Again, fingers crossed it doesn't actually become the next battleground. But for me, I want to really use Trench Crusade as a jumping off point for a conversation with you guys. Look to history when it comes to passivity with communism. Also, hobbies are supposed to be political free. They are. They are. Now, there's supposed to be internal politics with like a given fictional setting, but that's just it. It's internal. It has little to nothing to do with real world politics. Now, real world politics, like, obviously will influence the creator and how they portray this world, but once it's established within the world, everything should, build off of it sensibly within the setting. It shouldn't be anything, like, it shouldn't shift with real world stuff. It should shift based on logical conclusions within the universe. Luigi, welcome. They don't like the Christian-inspired art. I bet they don't. I bet they don't. To be fair, with some of the artwork I've seen for Trench Crusade, I don't think if you're a hardcore Christian, well, first of all, hardcore Christians would be in the grimdark anyway. But if you are, if you are a hardcore Christian, you wouldn't get into Trench Crusade either. Like, that's by the by. So I do want to use it as a jumping off point, though, because I noticed a huge thing with the recent Femstody situation, with a lot of people pushing away from Warhammer and like running away to other hobby spaces. And I've been pretty respectful, I'd like to say, towards a lot of those people, even though I staunchly disagree with the take that the approach people should use is run away from a given hobby, because first of all, you're surrendering. Like, you're waving the white flag. You've given up. Like, a lot of people phrase it other ways. I'm being blunt and honest with that. I feel if you leave a hobby or leave something after the woke touch it, or even if the woke influence the official IP holders, that's giving up. And a lot of the arguments I get back from that is, well, there's no point in sticking around. The company or the IP holder, like, they've kowtowed, they've bent the knee. And when it comes to like video games, there's more of a leg to stand on with that argument, and with like that pushback on like my take to hold your ground. Because with video game holders, obviously, especially nowadays, we rely on them to maintain the servers, we rely on them to update the game on a frequent basis, bug fix. With a digital media like that, there's more argument and more conversation to be had about running away or staying based on like the woke influences. But with something that's a tabletop sphere, I think that is I'll just say it, it's a retarded argument. It's a retarded argument for a tabletop hobby. And it doesn't matter which one you talk about. We could talk about TTRPGs like D&D. We can talk about war games like Warhammer. It doesn't matter. If it's a tabletop game where all of the media necessary for it is a physical and can be found in PDF form free online, and you can play with whatever proxies you want, and with the upcoming 3D printing, as well as recasters, yeah, it's just kind of retarded to run away. Like, you solve nothing. You've now given up where you didn't need to. And in the Warhammer space, we should look to BattleTech not to run there, but to their community who for years have already learnt this lesson. Just because the IP holders suck and they've bent the knee to something you don't respect doesn't mean you have to give up on the hobby itself. The hobby itself is not owned by the IP holders. That's what they want you to think. They want you to think they have the same power as a video game company over an online game like, let's say, Helldivers. They want you to think that way. But in reality, that's not the case. Because once you own the codexes, once you own the miniatures, once you own these things, they have zero power. Like, none. They can't stop you from playing games with your friends. They can't stop you from sharing the rules with other people online. Trust me, they try. They can't stop you. So, running away because they've successfully tricked you into believing that because the IP holders have gone woke, you now either if you stay, you somehow support it. When in reality, it's like with what I'm doing and what a lot of people are doing, which is we're just cutting GW, if you're a Warhammer fan, out of the equation, and a lot of the BattleTech fan base are just cutting Catalyst out of the equation. We're 3D printing models, we're sharing the PDFs of older editions as well as even the current editions if you want to play those. And we're finding ways to, not even really finding ways, we're just sharing the very easy to find ways to work around the companies in question. So that's why, for me, like a lot of people who said they were running away from Warhammer and say, I give up, they fell to the woke. The hobby is done, it's all dead, doom. The end is nigh. To those people, I'd like to use Trench Crusade as an example. It didn't take them long to set their sights on where people are running to. Didn't take them any time at all. What was it? Fem Studies was only a couple weeks ago. People have only been Trench Crusade isn't even out yet. And a couple people have just simply been saying, like Atius here, from what Combat Wombat and Demon Fetiche are responding to, are just simply pointing to it. And they're already jumping on. They're already jumping on it. Took them no time at all. Between John Blanche and Thomas, as well as the scale scope of the company, it will be too small to infect. Fingers crossed. Careful saying that. I'm starting to believe in jinxing quite a lot, because right before the Fem Studies thing got pushed officially, a member of my community made a joke, like, well before the Fem Studies thing even remotely started being a conversation, like we're talking months ago, made a joke right after a Fem Space Marine, well, at the time, the most recent Fem Space Marine argument that had jumped up, made a joke of, what are they going to push next, Fem Studies? Literally, like 2 or 3 months later, they got officially announced. So I'm starting to believe in jinxing. I'm starting to believe that that's a thing. So careful when you say that. Oh, they're a little too small to be infected. Don't light that match near that open gas tank, please. Just don't test it. Welcome to Stangora. I'm Catholic. Cool. Not necessarily true. I'm not Christian, but think that Christian art is badass. I mean, yeah, I think it's badass too. I'm keep in mind, when I say hardcore Christian, I'm talking about like the Bible thumpers. Like the type that, like my brother-in-law, they go to church every week. Every single thing they do throughout the day is through the lens of God. That's not a bad thing, by the way. I'm just saying everything that they do is through the lens of God, through the lens of religion, and they make a lot of like judgments on what's okay and what's not okay to engage with whether it's a satirization of religion, like if it makes fun of, or if it is a parody of. My brother-in-law is pretty cool about some stuff with that, but in his defense, there's also plenty of things that, like Trench Crusade, I haven't thrown it by his way. He might think it's cool, but this is something I'm instinctually gonna say he probably would be like, I don't like the usage here, but just from a visual standpoint, because it's grimdark and horrific with like a lot of Christian imagery right next to the horror, so that could be a bit off-putting for like the hardcore Bible thumpers. Not all, like you could be Catholic, but a bit more chill, Like for example, I'm a Christian, but I'm not a Bible thumper. Like I'm not. Yeah, I swear. I if anything, I'd argue I'm a bad Christian, in the sense that I swear, I cuss all the time. I only go to church like on a monthly basis, not on a weekly one. And prayer is not a daily thing with me. But I believe in God. I practice my faith. Just not as good as I should, admittedly. That being said, I think like if you're a Christian but you're a little bit more relaxed, hopefully not as relaxed as I am. Again, if you are a Christian, you probably should be less relaxed than I am about it. Then you probably should, this stuff won't affect you. You think it's cool. But I'm talking, again, Bible thumpers. Like, I would assume you guys know what I'm talking about with that, but I'm trying to make the distinction clear. Asmogan, have you seen the Artillery Witch? I have not. If I look that up, will this be a thing YouTube will yeet my ass for? It's a great fantasy what-if game for Catholic mythology. I'm looking forward to it. I'm glad you're looking forward to it. And so am I. I'm looking forward to Trench Crusade. I really hope that what Wheezy said in his title... Now, granted, his video you should all check out, because he goes in detail of his thoughts. Like, I'm not going to play it here for you guys, because I want you guys to go check out Wheezy Pillar's video, Trench Crusade, the new battle for the culture war. He explains his thoughts in very good detail. The most horrific thing, unfortunately, in this video is the fact that he shaved. It's like literally I started the video and because he in his videos lately has not been shaved, so he's been growing a bushier beard, and I was like, yes, brother with a beard. And then this video I load up and it's babyface, and I'm like, ugh! I was like a vampire with a cross held up. No, the damage has been done to my retinas. The Silmarillion, I would say, is kind of grimdark. Parts... I mean, Ungoliant is certainly very eldritch with Ungoliant and some of that stuff, so... yeah. Yes, here and there. It depends on what part of the Silmarillion. Ass Crush 'em. I actually like that name. Why did the Necromorphs have to ruin everything? Necromorphs? Oh, is that another nickname for the woke? That's an insult to the Necromorphs. The choices we have are like the Eldar, run away on Craft Worlds, find a new home like Maiden Worlds, a new hobby, or lastly, my favorite, fight back in Crone Worlds, become Azurman. My thing is like, you should stand and fight. Like, to all the people who are declaring that they're leaving 40k and are running away to other hobbies, see what's happening to Trench Crusade. It's not even out yet. Again, it's not even out yet, and they're already setting their sights on it. Running away solves nothing. It just allows the problem to proliferate and, like a cancer, spread. You are actively adding to the problem effectively by not addressing it. So that's why, I'm using this as an opportunity to call that out and encourage people to stop falling for that trick. Again, if this were a video game, if we were talking video games, there's more of a conversation to be had about leaving it rather than sticking around. Because if you just stick around with a video game in that circumstances, there's really nothing you can tangibly do to avoid the wokeness without directly supporting the product. But in tabletop gaming, we have so many ways we can engage with the hobby, still have fun with the hobby, without supporting any of the wokeness, without supporting the IP holders. It's so easy. Like the core rulebook of that methodology has been written. There are so many ways to completely cut the IP holders out. It's been done. It can be done. And there's no reason not to at this point, especially when they fall for this kind of crap. No, it's completely covered? Okay, I'll take a look then. Not gonna lie, strong early Demon Hunter vibes from this game. Which Demon... I've seen too many things with the Demon Hunter as like the tagline for the name. Like, there's a video game called Demon Hunter. There's also the anime Demon Hunter. Although, typically, people, specify that one. I think it's called the Japanese name for it is Kimetsu no Yaiba? No Yaiba. Kimetsu no Yaiba. Although, I guess is that Demon Hunter in English? Yeah, whatever. Point is, you have to specify. Like, I know too many things with that being the name. Woman with a floating bomb. I go to church every Sunday. It's in Latin, and my dad sings in Latin. Well, that's cool. Every Sunday, it's in Latin, and my dad sings. Wait. No, that wouldn't be Russian Orthodox, because at least the Russian Orthodox near where I live, they speak English. Except for certain parts of the Bible they have to read off. I do miss the Wheezy beard. Yeah, it's a shame. Actually, I made a comment about that. I said, I'm not gonna lie, you jumped me when I started the video and you had shaved. He said, bro, the beard was getting too wild. I had to take action. My response to that was, that's why you trim the beard, my man. No need to chop down the tree because of a couple gnarled branches. But you look great either way, so no loss. Which is true. He still looks great. Yeah, he's got a great jawline. So, no real loss. Just would have liked to have a fellow dwarf or Viking in the making. Instead, I'm alone in the beard craft. The game is Mordheim modification pushed by the guys in Knots, who wanted to recapture that gritty warband style of gameplay. Mike F's art was a very cohesive gathering point for overall design. Nice. I will say this, like, though it's not, like, John Blanche artwork is still John Blanche. Like, there's no replicating it. But the vibe, or, like, that same, how do I put it? Like, that same tone, if that makes sense. That same tone is kind of captured. Not even really kind of. It is captured by a lot of the artwork I've seen for Trench Crusade. Like, obviously the aesthetic is not John Blanche. Like, John Blanche has such a unique style. This is, like, this, as great as it is, this is not John Blanche. But that tone, very much feel it here. So, that's another thing I really, really like. Because for those who know me, one of the things that, for me, aesthetically, what captures 40K perfectly, and what, you know, visually got me into 40K the best, was John Blanche's 40K artwork. Like, that to me is the eyes into which you should see 40K. A lot of the modern artwork is a little, some of the artwork's good, some of it's not so good. But tonally and abstractly and stylistically, it, like, after John Blanche stopped making official artwork for it, a lot of it's, like, good artwork technically, but I miss that John Blanche feel, like that eldritch horror kind of feel, that a level of abstractness while still showing you something tangible. Yeah, I miss that John Blanche style a lot. That, and for, like, the tabletop, like, that old cover 80s artwork and stuff, like the really vibrant colors, I love that shit. So that for me is 40K. Agonies, thank you so much for the super chat, man. Thank you. I think folks should keep playing the games we grew up with, going to shops, and not be afraid to be vocal on their beliefs. I agree. If woke is being pushed, they shouldn't complain if it gets thrown back. That's true. 100%. Like, nail on the head, my man. And that's what I want to stress to a lot of people, like, throughout all my content, really, but here as well. Like, again, running away solves nothing. You're actively adding to the problem, and we're never going to get anywhere. It's also what they want. Fucking, I'm growing my beard back. Good. Get some fertilizer on that bitch. Anyways, but yeah, like, we need to stand our ground. Because what they want is to make you feel like once they've twisted and mutilated the IP holders into, you know, parroting their real-world ideology and beliefs, they want you to believe that that's it. Like, that's game over. You've lost. You now need to get the fuck out. Now, in one aspect, they're right. You should get the fuck out of supporting the IP holders now that they've bent the knee. Now it's time to show them who their real customers were all along, and not, like, don't send death threats, don't send any of that. Obviously send complaint letters, you should do that, be respectful, but make your concerns and your frustrations known, and then stop supporting them until those concerns are addressed properly. Don't buy any minis, don't buy any paints, don't buy anything. And again, everything that GW produces for 40K, you can get for free, and from alternative sources, fairly easily. So that's why, that's a huge thing I definitely want to, like, I don't care if I have to repeat it a million times, but I feel it needs to be said ad nauseum. Because here's the thing, they haven't ruined 40K for me. They've ruined its future for the time being. After they've, you know, infested GW and stuff. But the beauty of 40k is we already have such a rabid plethora of sources and history to fall back on when it comes to 40k. So if you're a lore nut, there's so many books that were made well before this Femstodes crap that you can get into and fall in love with and still come into the universe. There's also a plethora of old codexes and old rule books when it comes to the tabletop that you can fall back to. And let's be honest, 10th editions kind of sucks. Especially with the whole dev wound. I hate dev wounds. They fucking suck. The way dev... That's a rant. Point is, our hobbies only fall when they've successfully tricked us into leaving them. I'm never leaving 40k. They can never get rid of me. As much as they want to get rid of me, they can never get rid of me. Because for me, 40k is not GW. Just like Battletech is not Catalyst. Just like D&D is not Wizards of the Coast. These aren't video games. We don't rely on them to uphold a server. They cannot kick you off of your own table. They cannot take your books from you. They cannot take your codexes from you. They can't do any of that. As much as they want you to believe that. And that's the thing. They want you to believe that so hard. But at the end of the day, it's not true. You own 40k as a hobbyist. You own Dungeons & Dragons as a hobbyist. You own whatever the hell it is that your physical tabletop hobby is. Once it's in your hands, they can never take it from you. You got your goatee. We'll keep growing that goatee. It's stylish. The aesthetic looks great. Some kind of baby of blasphemous at World War I. Yeah. Actually, there was a video game announcement that came out recently that actually, weirdly enough, before today and before this news from Wheezy, before all that, it was a video. I'm trying to remember the name of the video game. But it came out recently, like a trailer of a upcoming game for it's also on a Kickstarter and stuff. And it's basically looks the same as Trench Crusade. Well, not looks the same. That's probably not the way to put it. It reminded me of Trench Crusade. That for me was like an early reminder. That's why this is kind of weird that Trench Crusade is getting dragged into the culture war crap before it's even fucking out. So soon after I saw that video game trailer. Trench Tales? That might be it. That might be it. Hold on. Is it Trench Tales? Yep, that's the trailer I saw. Actually, I'll pull it up for you guys right here. And it looks really good. It's the video game's in Kickstarter. It's not even out yet, but it's got a similar vibe. It minus a lot of that eldritch horror look, which, to be fair, it still looks pretty damn good. But let me see if I can skip ahead to some of this kind of stuff reminded me of the Trench Crusade stuff. In a good way, again, this stuff with Twitter and the woke starting to already set their sights on it, that's in a bad way. But yeah, I saw this a couple days ago. Oh, I didn't like the trailer. But similar vibes. Propaganda is not meant to convince you that it's true. Propaganda is meant to convince you that you are alone. Correct. It is meant to make you feel small and... yeah, alone. GW is just a company, but 40k is ours. Once we give up, that's when we truly lose. Correct, Bomender. Correct. What's up, Yokai? The culture war devours everything like a real war. It does. And again, a huge problem, and a reason the culture war is as bad as it is because a lot of the fan bases and a lot of the people within them have been doing what the 40k, some of the 40k community have done in response to the Femstodes situation. Harem Kid, thanks so much for the 199, brother. Thank you. What factions do you play in 40k? Oof. How long do you got? My main faction is Orcs. They are the ones I've been collecting and assembling since late 2012, early 2013, somewhere in there. I feel more it was early 2013. It would have had to be late 2012 though, because I was 13 when I got into it, and I was, yeah. So it would have had to be 2012 if I was 13. because I would have been 14 in 2013. Yep. So orcs have been like my main faction for the last 11, 12 years. And I love them to death. I've collected way too many. I got my Stompa over there, a bunch of my Battle Wagon. I've been collecting 3D printing now, but I had been collecting quite a few Warbikers because I was trying to do a whole Hell's Angels kind of thing. Still working on that. I got a bunch of Killicans and a bunch of Death Dreads. And I have been going to my local shop a lot lately. So most of my orc army is actually in my case. Let's see if I can open this up without flinging them everywhere. Yeah, so like a lot of my orc boys are already in their little slots. I'm very protective of my boys. Yeah. So. Don't fall out. I run a very orc boy centric army. I play orcs how you're supposed to play them technically. So, yeah, orcs are my main army. But that being said, they're not the only army. The last couple of years I branched out from orcs. To my credit, like a lot of 40k fans, especially if they've been in as long as me, fall into the trappings of collecting like 12 armies. In my defense, I've actually been pretty loyal to just orcs over the last decade. It's only the last 4 years or 5 years I've branched out. Well, I guess that's half a lie. Because when I was... Lady Run Song, should I miss a stream notification? You're in the Discord, lady. You're in the Discord, my sister. But yeah. Orcs have been my main faction for a long time. I've been collecting Space Marines here and there. Throughout the years, but so if you count that, technically both of them, but only in the last 4 or 5 years I've branched out. You know, now I have a World Eaters army I'm working on. I got my Tyranids and my Necrons over there. Can't see them, but I have a bookshelf over that way. Yeah, I think just in orcs I have about 4,000 or 5,000 points, give or take. Yeah. Trying to think if anything that might pad or deflate that number. Nope. Bad wounds are a favorite in the orc family. Me, it's the Death Skulls. For me, I like my stealthy boys. I also like the mech folk. Well, they at one time had a pretty mech focused bit of their lore, because they're like scavengers and they like to build mechs from the things they scavenge on the battlefield. Plus, they're the sneakiest gates. So, you love the freebooters. I like them from a lore standpoint, not so much from a tabletop standpoint, but then again, I think we have to talk about which edition on that one. Because I've been playing since the start of 7th edition and like the end of 6th edition. Alright, have a good one, Mission Yankee. You said that earlier, phone is toast. Have a good night, fellas. You too, my man. I'm gonna appear with dog over 12k points. Hold your ground. Stand your ground, hostile land. Indeed. Pad the trenches. That's the thing. We as a community, throughout, this isn't just 40k, all hobbyist spaces that are starting to get invaded by the woke, all you gotta do is just take on the mindset of a Kriegsman. Zealously defend what you love to a martyrdom standpoint. Don't literally martyr yourself, but like in a metaphoric sense. To a martyrdom standpoint. Become a zealot. That being said, it's best to try and like confront these people with facts and logic. Not because of that facts and logic will work on the woke. It won't. They're brainwashed nutcases. But it'll hopefully work on the, the people around us. Confront them wherever you can. In real life if you will come across them, but also every time you see them on Twitter and places. And just simply say, hey, here's the facts of the situation that you're completely ignoring. Here's the logic that you're completely replacing with your pretzel brain. And again, they're going to respond back by calling you every istanism in the book. But it's hopefully the people in the margins who are going to be witnessing the back and forth. The silent majority, as they're called. And they're going to see who's talking sanity and who's talking crazy. That being said, there are going to be certain circumstances where I like to play dirty, and I use their own shit against them. ironically. I don't use it like I believe it. Like that's the thing you guys should be careful with if you do that. I'm able to gauge it pretty good. I'm not gonna say I'm perfect, but I'm able to gauge when like I'm using their stuff against them, like their arguments or their mentalities against them in an ironic standpoint. If you do it ironically and you're just kind of shitting on them, if you're playing dirty like I do on occasion, just always be hazardous of starting to fall into the same mindset as them. Because I remember my community almost did that when confronting the woke. He started to actually kind of parrot a similar wave of thinking that how the woke say, you're a cis straight white man, and they like say all of those things like they're inherently evils of a person, Well, I remember my community started to kind of fall into that because he was just talking to us casually within a group, and he mentioned how Hollywood is full of these suburban white women who were just, and for me, like that has that same vibe to it. Not exactly the same, but it's starting to get into that same like, oh, you're a cis straight white man, you're a suburban white woman. It's like, okay, whoa. Both groups are becoming the bad thing. Like you're taking immutable characteristics and you're assigning like, hey, if you're this combination, you're Satan. That's what the woke do. While ironically preaching how you should be, not racist and not sexist, while being sexist and racist. Don't start using their logic and their sensibilities literally. Like, if you're afraid you're going to fall into that, don't do what I do. Don't use their methods against them ironically. Just stick to facts and logic and be straight-laced. Do that. Don't, like, in my case, I'm able to tell where the line is. I'm going to shit on you, use your fight fire with fire, but only ironically. If I feel like I'm starting to like actually think like them, I cut it off and just stick to the straight-laced. Okay, thank you for the $1.99, man. Thank you. Since custodians are ma'am, will they cost less? And what's the joke there? I mean, ideally, there's going to be a mailbox and a female box, right? And the female box, for every dollar that the mailbox cost, will cost 77 cents to those dollars, So potentially, I doubt it. They're probably going to supercharge them in point wise. Oh, in point wise, probably not. I took that in a different direction. I still think the way I took it was funny. If your identity is retarded, yes, it is. I've said it a million times, and I'll say it a million more. Nothing is less important. Nothing is less important than your immutable, like your race, and your sex, and your sexual preference. All three of those things don't fucking matter. Like they don't. Now, some people will get really technical and be like, oh, well, if you're a black man, you have a different experience than a white man in America. But socially, they don't matter. And they shouldn't matter. And the whole point of all this crap is that we're trying, the whole point of like person-to-person interaction is we're trying to kill off these discriminations, right? How do you kill off those discriminations? By constantly reminding people they exist. By constantly hyper-focusing them on media and putting a spotlight on it. Like, hey, look, black people are as normal as you are. Yes, I see that as you put a spotlight on them every single chance you get and make every white person around them evil. Yes, you're totally killing racism with that. No. Like, we had it right in the 90s and in the early 2000s with this kind of crap. Like, we had it right with how media did this crap. You just had people of color who just happened to take up good spots, and they were the best actor for the job or the best person for the job, and that's all that mattered. That's all that should matter. At the end of the day, the most important aspects about people has nothing to do with your skin color, has nothing to do with what's between your legs, and whether you got titties. It has nothing to do with that crap. What matters is, what are your goals in life? What do you do on a day-to-day basis to help your community? What are your hobbies? What are your interests? What are things you don't like? What are things you do like? What are your skill sets? What are challenges in your life you've had to overcome? How did you overcome them? What are parts of your life that you've actually fallen down to? Like these are things that as you come across them that are more important to learn about a person than skin color, gender, and gender identity and sex. All four of those things don't matter worth a fucking damn. Hi, what you feel about the Vashtorr character in the lore, if you've read up on that? I thought he seems interesting, parallelly developed compared to Machine God. Vashtorr, I'm not as read up on Vashtorr as I should be. From what I remember of Vashtorr's lore, especially with the bit of him like trying to become another Chaos God, if I remember that correctly. Well, let me double check I'm thinking of the right character. 40k has too many characters. Pretty sure he's who I'm thinking of. The big, tall demon dude. Vashtorr. Yeah, there he is. Okay, yeah, he's the one I was thinking of. From what I recall, I like his aesthetic, and I do like a little bit of his lore blurb. It's not perfect. From what I recall, granted, what I read of it was very minimal. I don't know how much there is on it to read, but of the little minimal blurb I've read, Vashtorr is an interesting concept, especially if you're like a Dark Mechanicum fan and you like, or you're an Iron Warriors fan and you like that chaos angle of like the machine spirit and like the machine god. I think Vashtorr is a very interesting character. I would have to see if he has more to him though than like the blurb I read, because that's pretty much all I know about him. Is like he's aiming to be like another chaos god, and he's like a really buffed up demon prince of sorts, but not for any of the specific gods. And he's also in charge of shoot. Crap, I'm trying to there's a specific thing he's in charge of or in control of. Memory. Come to me. It's not coming to me. Fuck. Shadowforge? Is that it? I don't know. It's Chaos's big like machinery thing. I'd have to double check that one. My memory's failing on that one. But from what I recall, Forge of Souls, maybe that? Maybe that? Ah, that's gonna kill me if I don't look it up. I hate it when I don't remember things, especially when it's something I have read up on, you know, and like by all accounts I should remember it, but it just doesn't come to my head. Master of the Soul Forges. Okay, Soul Forges. That's it. Machine thing to teleport. Do you think 40k is getting less grimdark or just me? No, it is. It is. Before the Fem Studies crap and before the latest political stuff, it was going. That was like my biggest criticism, lore wise, is that it has been getting less and less grimdark. Over the last decade, I'd say. Arguably, it's been getting less and less grimdark since 6th edition. I would say that it really took a plateau level dive after like during 8th edition. Like 8th edition came with a lot of like the starting stemming problems we have now. But one of them being like for the grimdark element, that's when it started taking a real strong plummet. Some would say that the biggest plummet came with Primaris, some would say it came with the return of Guilliman. Honestly, like I felt the grimdark starting to slip before either came out. Like it's been faltering for a while. Now again, it's debatable. I would say that the most fair and most agreed upon spot for where the grimdark started to die was Primaris. Like Primaris, when they were introduced, they took a lot of that, you know, hopelessness and that like losing war feeling and that menace and shot it in the kneecaps, and again, it took a nosedive, which is very sad. Now, a lot of like the defenses for that is like, oh well, you know, if 40k just remained grimdark all the time, it would get so tiring. You need a little bit of break. Well, the thing is, grimdark doesn't imply that it's 100% of the time depressing. Grimdark means that overall, like the big grand scheme of things, are fucked. You know, there's no hope of winning the grand situation, the grand war, if you will. But grimdark still has moments of levity implicit within it. Grimdark stories, especially with 40k and how 40k works as a war, you will have battles where the Imperium will win. You will have situations where there are heroic characters and positive moments. It's just, again, for it to remain grimdark, the overarching setting is still screwed. Like, the battle was won. These individual moments are small breaks of levity in motion. But what keeps it grimdark, though, is despite those moments of levity, it's the overwhelming weight of we're screwed. Like, yeah, we won, and we've delayed the end, but the end is still coming. But part of the beauty of 40k, as far as I always saw it, and still do in many ways, is that despite how screwed things were, there was a level of charm in the fact that the Imperium, as well as humanity, as well as any of the other races, to be fair, in spite of that guaranteed loss, in spite of the fact that we are screwed, at some point we are going to completely lose, everyone's dead, despite knowing that effectively, and feeling it to be true, the characters within the setting still fought. It's like, yes, we're screwed. Does that mean we have to lay down and die and take it? Fuck that. No, if we're gonna go out, we're gonna go out lighting the greatest fire in the galaxy that it could ever have seen. A greater struggle. We're gonna have a greater highs as we could possibly have towards the end. That'd make even the war in heaven blush with the level we're willing to go to hold our ground. If we're gonna go out, we're gonna go out letting the galaxy know who we were and making sure we're never forgotten. So that's what I always loved about the grim darkness of 40k. Is it's not. Are you building some kind of allegory here? Maybe. Potentially. But that is, culture war and the current fight against the woke side. That's always what I loved about 40k. It's a fight in impossible odds, yet they still fight. It's horrific. They're these eldritch horrors, these insurmountable odds, yet they still hold the line. Hey, K-Man Media, how you doing? Yo, caught you live again. Awesome. I don't know. Have you guys always kind of had that feeling? Like, especially if you've been around since older editions, but even if you're newer, I'd ask that, hey, like, has that always been a vibe or something attractive about traditional 40k that you guys have had? I don't know, that's always been there for me, is that it's grimdark, it's screwed, it's a kind of a hopeless scenario, but there's that charm of, yeah, we know that. We ain't going quietly. And I think like the short version of that would be like the indomitable human spirit. You knew, but you love the grimdark. I'm glad you enjoyed the grimdark. I only wish it was grimdarkier. That's the thing. Seraphim should be 40k just to compete with the Necrons. Wait, what? A greater struggle which seems hopeless, but we choose to stand against the invaders and refuse to succumb to despair. Topical. One could say it's very fitting to our current situation. Calmarification says, the planet broke before the guard. The company bent the knee before the fans. True. Your girlfriend likes Gaunt's Ghost series? Nice. Good choice. I don't love everything in Gaunt's Ghost, but I overall enjoy Gaunt's Ghost. from legend artists back then. Do not go gentle into that good night. Exactly. Hopefully Amazon GW doesn't start Wars 40k. Hopefully, but even if they do, again, this is our biggest advantage over other hobbies. And to be fair, Star Wars kind of has this a little bit, because it's not just video games over there. But one big thing we have over other hobbies, like video games being the big one, is that we aren't reliant on the IP holders and the company that produces the product to continue going. We're not. And that's why I hate it when people, and I see people saying like, "Hey, I'm leaving 40k. I'm done. I can't handle this wokeness anymore." And then they declare, "Hey, I'm going to Trench Crusade. Hey, I'm going to BattleTech. Hey, I'm going to," especially if you're going to BattleTech now. Like, when you do that, you are not, there's no victory in that for you, because whatever you're going to is the next target, if it's not already being targeted. The woke don't stop at a single hobby or a single fandom or a single anything. They will continue to push. Especially if you declare, "Hey, I'm going over here." They'll see that. That's an invitation. That's like holding up a big, meaty, bloody, juicy steak, I said snake, in front of a rabid Rottweiler. What do you think is going to happen? They're going to just sit there? No. They will follow you. I hate these damn woke assholes. So do I, son of Mouse. So do I. By the way, do you like Lovecraft and SCP? SCP I'm less familiar with. I mean, I'm familiar with like specific SCPs and like the general idea of SCP. I don't know if it's like a proper lore. Hey, Kaiju, how you doing, my boy? Like to watch, but I have to go to work. Understandable. Have a good day at work. Don't have any boxes falling you. Be safe, please, and thank you. I these damn. Excuse me. But I do, as for Lovecraft, though, I do enjoy me a good bit of Lovecraft. I'm not hardcore Lovecraft, I will say. Armin Pax, thank you for the $5 super chat. Thank you. Asmogan, have you seen Arbiter Ian vid, Why Do People Hate Primaris Marines? He belittles those who dislike Primaris with his passive aggressive. I have not seen it, but I have seen similar takes. Without having seen his specific take, I have seen plenty of people dismiss or outright ignore the people who dislike Primaris. I found that the vast majority of them are either people who joined 40k after Primaris were a thing, and thus, because they came in while they were a thing, they didn't have that pre-established fandom of pre-Primaris. So they don't understand, as much as they might have heard the arguments logically and like might have like compartmentalized the arguments of why people hate them so much from that standpoint, they still despise those people who hate it, because again, that Primaris were always an established pinnacle of the setting for them because they joined afterwards. Vampler, welcome. Asmogan, Trench Crusade is only 1 year old, and they already have a Discord group, 28 moderator, calling people Nazi left and right, and starting a wiki. So Trench Crusade's official Discord is calling people Nazi and Nazi left and right, or is this a community Discord? Because that actually kind of changes some of the conversation we now need to have. But yeah, generally that's my experience. People who push back on the Primaris stuff, that, or they're people who are just assholes who don't want to listen to the reasons, and they might like the Primaris legitimately from an aesthetic standpoint or from a lore standpoint. I don't know why they would from a lore standpoint, but from an aesthetic standpoint, most of the time, and thus they're kind of like, "Oh, why do you have a problem with it?" Oh yeah, and the third group are Ultramarine fanboys. I disregard what Ultramarine fanboys have to say like 99.9999999% of the time because they like the Ultramarines. If you need a reason to disregard everything they have to say, there you go. For those who are newer to my channel, I hate Ultramarines with a burning passion. Mostly because of Gilliman, And some people have told me, well, it's unfair to hate the Legion just because you hate Gilliman. I don't agree. I can hate one character, and that hatred can bleed over to everything that is his offspring, his progeny, the product of his loins. From a technical standpoint, I fucking hate Ultramarines. Doesn't help I do, with a passion, hate that specific shade of blue. Like, my least favorite color is the Ultramarines Macragge blue. Like, that shade of blue that they are, I hate that color. Like, I look at it and it's like a bull that sees red. Like, it just pisses me off. That's an illogical reason to hate them, I know. But that's one reason out of many that I fucking hate the Ultramarines. But I also hate the Ultramarines because they're oversaturated as fuck. I also hate the Ultramarines because of most of Matt Ward. Matt Ward is the author? Yeah, Matt Ward's fucking work with them. Not all. And to be fair, Matt Ward's work with them is better than what we're getting for rating right now, which I hate to admit, but it's the truth. I also hate them because of Gilliman. Gilliman's a cunt. And a politician. Everyone tries to like play him off as like, oh, Gilliman's a diplomat. Fuck no, he's not. He's a politician. Diplomat, my ass. Politician, yes. Diplomat, no. And he's a politician in the truest form of the term. Hey, have a good night, Luigi. Thank you for hanging out. You're buying more Smurf gear because of you? Smurf gear? Oh, Smurf gear. Go right ahead. Waste your own money. As long as you just don't get it from GW, please. 3D print it. Why don't you? I love Black Templars and Blood Ravens. Wish Blood Ravens got more lore and rules. I agree. Black Templars have got quite a bit, to be fair. But they should get more. They're actually cool, unlike the Smurfs. God, I hate Gilliman. Gilliman's like the biggest traitorous asshole next to Horus. Asmogan, do you think the woke is demonic in nature? This is the thing is like I want to hazard like dehumanizing people like because I don't like dehumanizing the people on the woke side as much as they are assholes and they are the pinnacle of what it is to be a shitty person. They're still people. So from an ideological standpoint, yes, I would say the woke ideology is demonic in nature, for sure. It's very insidious. It's malicious. It relies on manipulating the goodwill of the people that they're trying to twist and contort into following their ideology. They literally use your morals against you. And it's very sinister, it's very malicious, it's evil in many ways. So the ideology is definitely demonic. Now, I do want to stress again, the people who are woke, I'm not saying they are demons, and I don't want to dehumanize them. They are humans. They are people at the end of the day. Are they good people? Most of the time, no. They do tend to be on the lowest end of people, but they are people. So I do want to stress, please, don't mistake my words, or anybody's words in this case, and genuinely start dehumanizing the woke in your mind. Like, at the end of the day, that's what they do to us, right? That's how they justify how they treat people like you or I, is they have demonized us in their own minds. Even though most of them are atheists and don't believe in demons and stuff like that, they do have that version in their religion, which is the woke religion. And we're the enemy. We're the fundamental enemy. So they have dehumanized us, and that's why they're such shitty people to us. And if the woke have displayed anything, it's the danger of having that mentality against people who simply disagree with you. Like, you can't fall into that trapping of dehumanizing your opposition, because once you do that, all bets are off. So that's me. I would say the woke ideology is demonic in nature, but the people, be very careful not to dehumanize them. for two reasons. One, because it's just simply, it's wrong to do, and you end up becoming what we're pushing against when you do that. But from a personal standpoint, I think it. Let me make sure I word this correctly. I think it ends up. It's one of those things you really gotta word correctly. You end up kind of insulting yourself when you do that, in the sense that if you dehumanize your opposition and you make a habit of that, you fall into the trapping of doing that with everybody who is in opposition to you. Because first it'll be the woke, but once you start like fighting or arguing with people on other topics or on other platforms, like in other things, it turns into a habit. That's what the woke have done. Like, they've turned it into a habit. It's like, you're my enemy. You're not, like, they do it to themselves. That's what I'm trying to say, is like, they have gotten into such a habit of dehumanizing their opposition that when amongst themselves, when there's a little bit of deviation on the exact narrative that they're pushing, even if someone agrees with them 99.9% of the time, if you disagree on one thing, they immediately like, okay, you're subhuman trash and we need to destroy you. They did it to J.K. Rowling, and that woman's woke as fuck. So like, that's another reason I'd hazard people to not get into that habit, because you turn into them. Don't crystallize and turn into your enemy. So that's why I'm making that very clear distinction. The ideology is definitely demonic, but the people who are practicing it, they are still human at the end of the day. Also, they're a good example of why humans are very much capable of becoming very bad things. Got to keep that in mind. So that's just something I want to make clear. Weezy says, agreed. That's why you never see me misgender. I prefer to use facts and logic to win my arguments with them, plus pointing out their own idiocy. That's how you should do it at the end of the day. The whole misgendering thing, like, I don't stress about the trans stuff too much. Like, keep in mind, that's not me acquiescing or anything. It's just... I had a brain fart. It's just, with... I don't know, that was weird. I was about to say, I had a whole sentence, like, on the tip of my tongue, and I was like... You know, with like, the whole, like, transgender thing, like, if I screw up the pronoun, I'm not going to stress about it. Like, I don't care. But likewise, if, like, I use the one that they prefer, it's just what I happen to use to describe them, and I'll just stick with it if I have it in my head. I don't care either way. Like, I don't intentionally misgender anyone, but I don't care if I do, if that makes sense. Because for me, it's not really important. Especially when the topic of discussion is not their gender. Right? I don't give a shit. If they get offended by being, by me, like, saying, like, he when they identify as a she, cool. If the topic is Warhammer, that had nothing to do with your fucking gender. I don't care. Good point. Did you see the whole event with Planet Fitness? What? Be careful when you're hunting monsters, for you may become a monster as well. Pretty much. That's a good way to put it. Potentially is a good clarification. Yeah. But yeah, that is a pretty good tagline to live by. Be careful when hunting monsters, for you, but you may become a monster as well. That's true. Although personally, I believe, if you do end up crossing that line, if you do end up starting to think like they do and falling into those trappings, it doesn't mean you're screwed. Like, especially if you realize it, if you realize you're starting to think that way or kind of come across that way, you can have a come to Jesus moment, literally or figuratively, and be like, okay, hold up, rewind. I'm falling into this bad way of thinking. I'm starting to do what they're doing. Take a breather. Apologize to those you feel you owe an apology to. And even sometimes to those you don't. And then, what I'm trying to say is, people are not irredeemable when they make mistakes. There are certain lines that I do believe make someone irredeemable, like the obvious ones being like murder, grape, those kinds of things. That you cross that line, you're irredeemable. You've committed a mortal sin. But like when it comes to like this ideological stuff, I don't believe a person is irredeemable. People make bad mistakes. People are youthful and have youthful indiscretions. People fall into things, especially with this woke ideology crap. Like, they get these people in high school now and in college. So if they grow a little older and they live a little bit of life and have a little bit of real experience, and they suddenly, even if they, like, after years of, like, being a certain way, and they finally realize, shit, I've been an asshole this whole time, I didn't realize what I was saying, and they try to come back into the social square, I don't, and again, it depends on what they did, right? But if it's just down to they were assholes and stuff like that, I think people should give them a chance to come back and redeem themselves. Always. 69 watching? Nice. No, it's 72 now. Darn it. We got more in. Welcome, everybody. Smoosh the like button. Yeah, I'd appreciate if you guys did, but, I don't stress about it. Car problems? Oh, hey, I'll be okay. I'm having some trouble coming to grips with this myself. How can you forgive and redeem someone who doesn't want to be? I do agree, though. Well, that's different. It's... this gets a little complicated, and I'm going to start sounding like a preacher, and we're all here talking about, like, hobbies and stuff, right? And pushing back against woke ideology and ideological crap in general in spaces. So feel free to just, like, everyone put one in chat if you start to see me, like, going down a preacher angle here, but try and answer that statement, Scallows. When it comes to forgiving and redeeming someone who doesn't want to be, that's the thing. If they don't want to be, it's not your place to. At the end of the day, like, outside of, like, hobbies and, like, this kind of the social square, like, in the grand scheme of, like, the soul, right? It's God's place to redeem a soul or not, and to forgive that soul or not. But socially, if someone does you wrong, religion and stuff aside, socially, if someone does you wrong, you do not have to forgive them. Just, the one thing I do stress you should do is don't become them, and don't, like, shun them or hate them. But what you should do is be like, hey, I don't forgive you. You did me wrong. You treated me wrongly. You said things that I personally can't come to terms with you. Therefore, I cannot come to terms with you. But that's all you have to say. And if they're assholes and they'll be like, oh, well, fuck you, sorry. I said what I said. I'm not willing to meet you on that field. So from a personal standpoint, you don't owe people that forgiveness. But you do owe it to yourself to be above it. Above, like, above being petty. And try and be decent. That being said, we're on the internet, so feel free to be shitty assholes from time to time. Like, everyone on the internet says some spicy things every now and then, and the anonymity can make it, is kind of like a drug, There's lots of stuff we say that are a little too far. Armand Pax, thank you for the super chats, man. Thank you. It was very generous of you. Part 1, I came in through 8th edition Primaris. Seemed cool, but with time, as I learned more about Classic Marine, having more options in their kits. Part 2, have that ugly Mark IV helmet, and GW forcing them into the lore, by breaking it among GW being continuously evil made me hate Primaris. I mean, that's actually interesting. Most of the time, I find that people who came into Warhammer after Primaris' introduction tend to, even if they learn about that history, even if they learn about that stuff, tend to, like, stick to it. Because you're a very rare case, my man. Most people don't come to that same conclusion, even if they do look into it, like you have. So I respect that. Excuse me. Sorry. But yeah, with Primaris, like in my case, I was in the hobby before Primaris. I had time to get used to Space Marines, like as they were, aesthetically as well as lore wise. So in my case, it's very easy for me to spout off how I hate Primaris. But I do try and be like respectful to those who like Primaris. From an aesthetic standpoint, it's very easy. So like if someone's like, hey, I'm not like, especially when it's just someone who's like, hey, I like them and I don't like hate on or shit on you for disliking them, but I like them, so maybe don't piss on my vibe. Those people I think are cool. It's like yeah, you can like them, I can hate them. We don't have to turn it into this whole thing. Just make it that topic the two of you don't mesh with and you don't talk about. But yeah, it's one of those things. Like again, like you could be respectful and have respectful disagreements. Lore wise, I get into an argument all the time about that. That's another thing that certain friends of mine at the shop and stuff that we've learned to okay, don't talk about it because it's in my mind I'm right, you're wrong. So but you're not going to admit it, so why keep going? But yeah, Primaris, like the lore wise, was such an insult. In many ways, it was. I would say on a fundamental core level, Femstodes is worse, but in an overarching way, Primaris was definitely. How do I put this? If you fell off 40k because of Primaris, I cannot blame you. I cannot blame you. Because again, I think the Grimdarkness was starting to die before Primaris, but Primaris was the death knell of the Grimdark tone. And the core identity of 40k starting to completely seep out started with Primaris. Like from the introduction of Primaris onward, the tone of 40k became much more of a heroic sci-fi with, yeah, some grimdark elements, but the forefront of it was like heroic battles and winning victories, and the Imperium is actually developing again, and the Space Marines are starting to refundle their numbers, They were very antithetical to the setting. In many ways, like Femstodes are antithetical to the setting. What made the only angle I'll agree that Primaris were less egregious was they still were something in the lore that could have worked. Just the way they did them was wrong, and from the wrong faction standpoint. Like Chaos definitely deserved a revamp up to that point. So if they had started as a Chaos thing, and then a equivalent kind of sort of happened with the Imperium, if there was lore build up at all, they would have been way better. But can't change how they were done, and how they were done was bad. Really, really bad. But at the very least, the motivation behind them was greed. It wasn't political pandering and virtue signal points. So in a very twisted, sick kind of way, that makes Primaris less of a perversion on 40k than Femstodes. And ironically, I trust Fabius Bile more than I trust Call. And Fabius Bile had establishment in the lore with what he was doing experimentally. And with the powers of the warp, it made a lot more things possible. Like a Primaris equivalent for Chaos. And then, in my opinion, Primaris would have worked if they had simply revived Corvus Corax's Raptor project. And just kind of revamped it. And again, not had this whole thing where like they were a contingency plan done by Call and Gilliman, and like there was a bunch of them ready to go, but they were always set to be let out only in certain horrific circumstances, except before they were let out, there was many circumstances where they should have been unleashed into the Imperium. Like a lot. Like the War of the Beast, anybody? like again, they were written in a pocket with no consideration of the rest of the lore. And it was such spit in the face to fans. So bad. It was just so goddamn bad. Ugh. I can blame nobody for leaving 40k when Primaris are introduced. I know a few who left during that time. But for me, I was still in love with 40k, and I kind of more or less ignored Primaris. I will say this. I don't hate the aesthetic of Primaris. I know a lot of people who have shat on the Mark 10 armor and all that. That's not me. I didn't mind the aesthetic. I don't think the aesthetic. I don't like the the design of the shoulder pauldrons. I really don't like how formed they are to like the shape of the Marine. I think they should still be more bulky. That's my only huge criticism with the Primaris armor, which they kind of fixed up with certain units, like the Primaris sword brothers or sword ah I have them. I have a couple of those units. Crap. Sword champions? No. Sword veterans? Fuck. Point is, certain units in Primaris kind of fix that with having bulkier pauldrons, but the core Primaris Intercessor, for example, or the Assault Intercessor, I hate those more fluid sci-fi kind of look with the pauldrons. Should be way bulkier. Way bulkier. But otherwise, I didn't really mind Primaris from an aesthetic standpoint. Lore-wise is how I fucking hated them. You hate the aesthetic of the new Dreadnoughts? I can't agree to that. I fucking hate the new Dreadnoughts. So fucking bad. Like that, I hate every Primaris Dreadnought for the most part. Like the box dreads look so sexy, and they are so iconic to 40k. Like they're as iconic to me anyway as the Space Marine, the traditional Space Marine. They are a staple, and the fact that they have discontinued the box dreads, the ironclads, the venerables, in favor of those fucking ugly ass Primaris dreadnoughts. That is an insult. That is a slap into the face. Those dreads were 40k in many ways, and it's so bad that they've been discontinued. Thank God for 3D printing, because imagine a circumstance in the hobby where we didn't have 3D printing. Granted, for many reasons, but for box dreads specific, goddamn, please, box dread supremacy. Yes, thank you. Oh. So how about that Trench Crusade? Yeah, I know. We're way off topic. But yeah, Trench Crusade is unfortunately getting a little bit of an invasion. It's trending on Twitter for our community for good reasons, like Arch talking about it and talking about how cool the aesthetic is. I think the aesthetic is great. I am worried for when it comes out. Yeah, I am worried that when it comes out, we're going to be dealing with... Yeah, because Wheezy said it in his own video in the title. And again, watch Wheezy's video. Wheezy's video is very good for this. That's why I won't play it here. I do want you guys to go check it out, his video, because he does talk about it from his own perspective. I hope, fundamentally, it doesn't become the next Battleground. I hope because Trench Crusade is smaller, it's this brand new game coming out, and it's already super grimdark and aesthetic. I'm hoping this will keep the woke away, and that we will have a strong, fun, and cool, and grimdark war game to work with here. Can't say I'm not worried, though. I can't say I'm not worried. It is already? Oh, God, what? Yeah, someone mentioned earlier that the Discord... I asked, I might have missed it, people's response to it. Let me scroll up, see if someone responded to it. Oh, there's a planet. No, I'm not seeing... I guess I'll ask it again now, and I'll look for the answer again. So wasn't their official Discord? Sorry. Was it their official Discord? Or was it a community Discord where they were calling people Nazis? Like moderators and stuff. '28 magazine community Discord. After bed. All right, have a good night, Wheezy. No problem. And hope people check out your video. It's a good one. Hey, Sing Sarah, welcome to stream. You might have been here a while. I apologize if you haven't. I haven't said hi. So 28 magazine community Discord is... I'm assuming they're the people behind Trench Crusade? Is that it? I'm at their website and it doesn't look like it. I'm looking at their games. For them, they have The Wheel, Forbidden Psalm, Last Work, Quest 9, Planet 28, Tonks, CT. It doesn't look like they're the people behind, Yeah, these people came here and they don't even know what 28 is thinking. It's only Trench Crusade. Joshua says he's in the Discord and seems alright. So they haven't been called. So now I'm confused. So are they? Okay. Hey Zoid. Hosting TC. At least it looks that way. Are they? I know I'm on their website and they haven't. I looked at their. I'm looking at their games and it's not listed. Maybe publications. John Blanche is on here. Well, he's mentioned anyway. Yeah, if they are related to Trench Crusade, it's not on the website. At least nowhere obvious. Oh, they are the publisher. Okay. Powerwolf 1097, welcome. Wasn't Trench Crusade kickstarted by a bunch of avid 40k people? I would assume so. Certainly 40k adjacent folk, if not outright 40k fans. So it would make very little sense for them to immediately be going woke. Then again, makes very little sense for GW to go woke, but here we are. There's only like 3 actual people working on Trench Crusade. Alright. Are any of those 3 people going off on people and being assholes? And I don't have the context. Alright, have a good one, Tristan. Thank you for joining. Yes, it's an offshoot of Inquiry 28. Or Inc. 28. Okay. There have been cases of mudflinging, but it gets shut down on both sides. No Reddit or Twitter arguments allowed. Well, that's good. That's a good policy to have. They're just preparing, digging their tunnels like the sneaky communists they are. Yeah, probably. That I believe. Like, I'm just trying to establish here, though, is because someone mentioned earlier that, because Josh, you say you're in the Discord, right? You like if you're in the Discord for them. I don't know if you're in one of mine. In the description of this stream is the link to my call line Discord. If you could post it, well, if you have any screenshots, or if you can take some real quick of their rules and like their server rules, because I'm assuming they have them, right? Could you share them in topic related? That way I can see. You know, like if they have rules on the server, like, hey, no talking real world politics. For me, that's more security than not. If someone has screenshots to the contrary of like the devs being woke assholes, I'd really appreciate having that because that changes, or not really changes much, but it adds a whole new conversation to the mix. Because if they've already started to fall into the woke shit, Trench Crusade's dead before it comes out. Granted, not dead. If it comes out and though the creators may be woke, they don't put any of that wokeness in Trench Crusade, I'm willing to ignore it. Not many, like, part of a trait of being woke is you can't really keep your crap out, like your politics out of your creative works, which is depressing, but it's not impossible, technically. Oh, well, if what Zimzilla says is the case, then yeah, that's Twitter. Of course, that's happening. Yeah, like Shay and the normal woke people. Now, my concern is with the devs, like the people actually working on Trench Crusade. They are behind it. If they're doing it, then that's a whole new different problem. 28 Discord moderator is Alexander Winberg, employee of 28 Mag. Okay. Is he working on Trench Crusade? Or is he just part of the publishing arm? Still a problem either way, but that'll help me gauge the level. The Son of Malice. Honestly, if Trench Crusade has gone woke, I'm just going to make my own shit. I'm already making my own shit. Just throwing that out there. Zilla 99, from what I've heard, just the Twitter folk doing on the server. If that's the case, then hopefully they get moderated out. But if the moderator is a wokey themselves, then that's a problem. I'll happily look. All right. Yeah. Because all I had heard is that the woke were already setting their eyes on it, but I wasn't. I've seen nowhere shared with me anyway that they're already like directly in it already and are already dictating elements of it. If that's the case, then we have a whole other problem. Right now, we're just getting ready to have yet another fight, which is sad that we're already getting ready for a fight and this thing isn't even out yet. He is trying to be relevant in the Discord, suggesting about making a wiki and handling it to the creators later. Oh, God. Sad thing is the creators might take them up on it. Because the creators are just like happy-go-lucky nerds and geeks, like a lot of us are, but the difference being that they're not super aware of this culture war crap, and because sadly there are still plenty of people who are ignorant to it. They might actually take anybody up who wants to help them, especially if there's only 3 of them working on it. None of the 3 probably want to spend time putting together a wiki, so they might actually outsource that to the first person who offers it, and the woke are definitely going to offer any kind of help they can. Picking the trenches, that you could say, yeah. Positions of power are like catnip for these freaks. It's a matter of incentives. Being a Reddit or Discord moderator holds little appeal to a normal person, but to a sociopath, watch out. That is true. That is a trait of a narcissist and of sociopathy, but particularly narcissism. Oh, someone shared it with me. Alright, so this is just shared with me on the Discord. So this is the 28 Discord. Wow, there's over 1,000 members. Alexander, Team 28. Hi, at blank. Thanks for joining the 28 server. This place is for everyone interested in tabletop games, so I hope you will enjoy it. Nazi punks, fuck off. Ooh. So there are... So... this does bear a very bad sign. It's a very bad sign off the bat, because if they've already got a moderator team on the community Discord out of it, and he's already, like, if this is like server announcement thing for new people joining, this is not a good start. Welcome the RC Bums. Random question. Have you seen some of the Krieg alternative 3D models? Yes, I have. And I actually have quite a few. I printed off a few. Red Makers is the way to go. They're probably got my favorite Krieg alternatives. So, for anyone out there who wants to print off Krieg super cheap for STLs and stuff, check out Red Makers. They're over on... well, actually on a couple places, but their main like selling hub for STLs, that's over on the I almost said the Hobby Lobby, My Mini Factory. They're over at My Mini Factory. So yeah, check them out. There are other alternatives out there, sure. But my favorite are Red Makers. We also have solid Maccabians. That's true. Pre-supported as well? Yes. Red Makers pride themselves on pre-supported STLs. I'm saying this like I'm their spokesperson, but I've only ever bought from them. But yeah, I'll real quick go grab a couple examples. That'll be real quick, and then we're gonna get back to talking about this real quick. So these are, I've already primed these, but these are 3D printed. So it's hard to make out, but here is a little artillery shell box where one of the, or a couple of the shells out. Here's two examples of the Mad Lads printed off for Red Makers. These guys are 3D printed by yours truly. Got my on autofocus. Even if autofocus doesn't click. These are some of my Kriegsmen from Red Makers. And the cool thing is, I've also printed off some of their artillery. Yeah, Red Makers also make artillery pieces for them. So, this is probably one of my favorite. These are just like the crack cannons and artillery. And you even get like, these come with like miniature dudes you can put on them. I just printed them off separately and haven't glued them together. But they even have Earthshaker platforms. This is just like the smaller artilleries that you can get for them, and they're cool. But the fuck off are Earthshaker platforms that Red Makers has made are cool looking, but they're a bit of a print job. So Red Makers is the way to go. They're my favorite for Krieg stuff, and they do have Maccabian Janissaries as well. If you're a fan of Maccabians. Loot and Creature Caster have some amazing new STLs and prints. Yeah, Loot also. They're pretty good. They have a weird like membership thing though. I missed that. Were we talking about a Sculpt Creator? Yeah, Red Makers. For Krieg stuff, Red Makers are the way to go. Again, they have some great artillery pieces, bits and bobs for like little decorations on like shells and stuff, and again, of course, the Kriegsmen themselves, the sexy lads. I have a bunch of these guys printed off and ready to paint. I just haven't had the time. Could you make a short video about the new screenshot and info about Trench Crusade? Because are already having a Wokey in the mods. Yeah. I can absolutely do that. Like I said though, I got to put together the next Voxwork podcast episode tonight, so it won't be the video will probably be late to the topic in regards to what day in the week I can get it out. Keep in mind, I do have a day job. I work 5 days a week. From I get there at 2 and I don't leave till about 11. So I am busy. Plus working on my own tabletop game. But I will try and get a video out by Friday? Thursday or Friday. I will try and get a video out talking about this. Oh, God. I love balancing this crap. It's amazing. But, yeah, this is a bad sign. This is a bad sign. If Weezy were still here, I'd tell him that this is probably like the best example of the new battleground of the culture war in terms of Trench Crusade. This is the black pill. It's finals week for me, so I feel that, yeah. Also community managers every goddamn time. Yeah, for Helldivers as well recently and all that crap. It is, but again, to want to be in these positions of power where your direct role is, at least in terms of how the roles are perceived, their power over other people. It's authority. It's artificial authority over others. Only two types of people want that. Either people who are super responsible and just simply love something so much that they do want to try and help, like, be a bridge between the average person and the thing that they're being a community manager of or something like that, which is rare. Or the more common example is are narcissists, people who are there to manipulate, to contort things, and to cause shit. But also, they like power. Any kind of position that they can be like, I'm better than you. I am above you, and I dictate things to you. That's what these types love. That's what the woke love in particular. They're sociopathic narcissists. And any position that they can take up to commit changes that they see anyway, they will take up. So this, unfortunately, doesn't surprise me. Turnip 22, Turnip, the other grimdark tabletop I was interested in, that I got black pilled on because the creators of that, not even like a community manager, have expressed some woke ideology. So this kind of saddens me that the Trench Crusade people, especially with how good it looks. I mean, this looks so good, but we're already starting off on a really bad note that their lead mod on their Discord is already pulling the Nazi card. It doesn't help that he looks like an Antifa punk in his fucking... Although, to his credit, he's not doing what Antifa normally do, where he's like covering his face with like that black, sheet thing over their faces all the time. So, a little bit more brave than them, but this is only a single photograph, and he's still wearing a hoodie and a black cap, so he's only a face covering away from looking like a standard Antifa punk. Do your foxhole hunker down? You're gonna have to. Yeah, this is the bad sign. Very bad sign. But on the upside, with fingers crossed, Trench Crusade comes out. It's not woke at all in terms of its universe, in terms of the rules, in terms of the actual game itself. Hopefully that is good, and everybody who's interested in it gets their hands on it. And if this is an indication. It's a good idea to do that if that's the case when it comes out and it's not woke influenced at all. Grab it up, get it up, collect it, get in the hobby. And then if it starts going woke, which if it's already got woke people like this, yeah, it's you might want to get in early and get out early. You know, get everything you need from it and run off. Dragon Master Outcast, thank you so much for the 50 NZ dollar. New Zealand? If it's not New Zealand, I apologize. But 50 New Zealand dollars. Thank you so much for the generosity, man. That is beyond word. Thank you so much. That is super generous. Keep fighting the good fight, my dude. I intend to. I have been for years now. So, but yeah, thank you so much. Yep, it is New Zealand. Okay, good. I try and like recognize the different currencies because I feel dumb when I don't recognize like the symbols and stuff. But thank you, man. It's super generous of you. Thank you. Like, wow. But yeah, I've been pushing back against this stuff for a long time. It feels weird to I've been getting a lot of credit for it like the last like couple weeks, but I've been doing this for like 5 years. Granted, I like to keep my channel focused on hobby stuff and on positive stuff, things I enjoy, but I've never been afraid to call out woke crap. I mean, I wasn't, for those who don't know the history of my channel, like about 4 years ago, 3 or 4 years ago, and that's how I got to meet Arch, is for those who remember the Discord scandal he got into, where a bunch of like the woke people snuck into his Discord and got a bunch of cherry-picked messages that they tried to use to make him, like, use as definitive proof, quote-unquote, that he was like everything that they said he was. I saw that crap and I immediately called it out back in the day, like, again, 3 or 4 years ago. And at the time, like, I didn't make any videos like I do now about calling out the woke crap. I mostly just made hobby videos. And before that, I made reaction videos. I know, cringe, reactor channel. But I was in high school at the time. Like, but well before that. 3 or 4 years ago, I was out of high school. Point is, you know, I called that stuff out in that occasion. I wasn't afraid to. Because what I saw was I was seeing a guy I thought was cool, who was loyal to, you know, his hobby and things he enjoyed, being brigaded by a bunch of woke sociopaths who were trying to use these cherry-picked messages and these cherry-picked like screenshots. And for me, I was like, where's the context? Like, if there's context that makes this more damning, then fine. Like, then there's something to go on. But you're showing a bunch of one-off messages with none of the conversation involved. And there actually, the funny thing was, there was like a whole folder that they released with the in-context messages, which, funny enough, the in-context messages completely vindicated Arch. Like, a lot of the cases where he was saying something horrendous was just him literally saying, hey, like, this is what the woke say, but just change a couple of the words around. He was literally saying stuff like that, and they just took, like, that segment of him saying, like, hey, this is what the woke say, but just change a couple words around, look how horrendous it is. And they just showed the horrendous part and made it out to be like, oh yeah, he was saying this like he actually believes this stuff. It was so bad. But yeah, 3 or 4 years ago I called that out, and haven't been afraid. I wasn't afraid before that to call it out. It just wasn't my thing. Now I feel more of a prerogative to call it out. That being said, it does get tiring to call it. For me, I don't call out every single instance of this crap at every single turn. I call out when I think it's like actually significant, or when I have something to actually say on it, or when I don't think anybody else is covering it. Those are the usual times I'll cover it. Most of the time, I do like to just paint minis and assemble stuff and enjoy what I enjoy. Like, I like making fun stuff. I like having fun. One thing I definitely want to avoid becoming is a quartering. As much as there are fans of quartering out there, there was a time I appreciated his content, but he uploads like 3 or 4 videos a day, and it's literally on anything he can siphon a little bit of the culture war content out of. I don't know. I don't hate the guy. Just not a fan of that, falling into that. Like, I like my content to be stuff around things I love, and obviously defending stuff I love is important, but I also kind of actually want to have the fun at some point. If that makes sense. Also over 3.8k subs now. That is a big jump from a few months ago. That is. And I appreciate all the new subs and everything. I appreciate everybody who's come in and who's showing support. I greatly appreciate it. Hope you guys have been enjoying the content. That being said, I guess I should thank it even more. Thank you all for also the super generous donations. There's been quite a few over the last few weeks as I've been like jumping into the fighting pits. But hopefully you guys stick around for my normal fun content like painting streams, and I also make occasional gaming videos on this channel. I have a channel dedicated to gaming content, but I was with my day job and developing a tabletop game in the background. I don't really have time to upload to both channels, so I'm kind of debating and just if I have gaming content to upload, I'm just gonna put it up here and stuff like that. But but you made a start somewhere, but you've also made strides too. That is true. I've made strides over the years. All right, you get to sleep, Ymir. Thank you for hanging out, my man. I donate, but I legit have 33 cents in my bank. Hey, no stress on anybody whatsoever to donate to me. If you choose to donate, I don't care if it's $1 or like 80. I just appreciate the generosity. I really do, because every little bit you guys send my way, it goes, pretty much all of it at this point is going towards developing my tabletop game. I have a day job, so whatever you guys send me, if I have to use it on daily expenses, I would. But thankfully, again, I'm blessed to have a full-time job. I'm not reliant on YouTube as a career. I do have a day job to pay for my bills and pay for my living expenses. So the donations are mostly going towards the fund to work on Warglaive and things like that. So every little bit you guys give is hugely appreciated, especially since I'm the only dev on it right now. About your game, as well, knowing you're not woke. Hey, I'm super excited about it. The other day on my Discord, a friend of the channel who's actually been around for a while, asked me like 50 questions about it, which was fun because it's been a while since I've been able to talk about it. Since, again, with a day job and trying to keep YouTube up and also trying to keep working on it, it's slow progress. So there hasn't been a lot of conversation about it in a long time. So it was cool to have that back and forth about Warglaive. He asked a morbid question though. He's like, "So, do you have a contingency plan for when you die?" Time out. What? He's like, "Yeah, for like Warglaive to make sure it doesn't get perverted or made woke. Like when you die." I'm like, I'm in my mid-20s, dude. I'm 24. Can we not talk about me dying yet? I'd like to guarantee its safety personally for the next 80 years, at least. But as of right this second, no. But I have been forced to think about it, I suppose. Oh, God. Speaking of day jobs, did you ever give an update on the potentially haunted room with the chair? I have not given an update on it, but I had to clean that room out yesterday, actually. Because apparently during the day they've noticed some things, and they think there's actually rats in there or something. Again, it's just a room with a white laminated desk and a white chair. That's it. That's all that's in the room. I removed both, and there was no rodents, no nothing in anything. So, as far as the update, haunting seems the more likely scenario because the room was empty. Those are haunted rat turrets. Maybe. But no, it's just a weird, creepy room. I didn't go in there with a ghost hunter kit or anything. I didn't have what's that? The infrared? I didn't have an infrared or nothing. Seeing if there's any cold spots. Squigger Skin, thank you for the super chat, man. You guys are super generous today. Here's a tip on behalf of the dude with no money on his account. Cheers. Hey, thank you. And thanks to him. Appreciate it, my guy. Cheers to you, too. My house is haunted, but it doesn't bother me anymore. Sometimes I think this place is haunted, but there's rarely anything that happens. It's just these really weird one-offs. It's probably just a draft. You keep forgetting what a youngin you are, Asmo. Yeah. I'm in my early 20s. It's about to be mid-20s, I guess, in a couple months. When I say a couple, it's like 4 or 5 months till my birthday. Something like that. I can send that to you this Friday if you want. Seriously? I don't have a PO box, so I'm gonna say no. And again, I cleaned the room out, so hopefully the room isn't haunted, and it's the furniture. And we are about to send that furniture to the scrapyard. So if the furniture's haunted, it's about not to be my problem. The ghost will have to haunt the scrapyard, I guess. Just leave me out of it. Rats with high power electro. Again, I didn't see even rat turds in there. Like there was nothing. Like that's part of what makes me think the room was haunted. Is it was devoid of any infestation or anything. Like there was no ants. There wasn't even spider webs. There were no cobwebs. Granted, we keep the room clean, so it's not like there could be, but nothing. So the room was kind of creepy. So I'm just saying. There is definitely reason to believe. There's definitely reason to believe. Sergeant Snowball, 40k is dead. There's no point not running away. You are a retard. There is so many reasons not to run away. You are a retard for thinking that. Congratulations. Early 20s and look 40. Thanks, Yokai. I appreciate it. Wait, do I actually look 40? Am I sporting any gray hairs? It makes you feel better. Not that Alexander guy has apparently told the busybodies to chill with fussing about newbies coming in, and that what people post on X isn't their concern. That does make me feel a little bit better. Oh, someone actually shared another screenshot. From Kaza. I would ask that everyone remember this is an alternative timeline where critical events in your own timeline are not in parity. Okay. There are still lots of details on world events inside the past 800 years of Trench Crusade that have not been defined. Let's try to avoid casting our real-world lens too heavily in the TC universe and allow folks to theory craft without the inscrutable eye of history as a comparator. That's definitely a good sign. What's up, hey Momo? What's up? Hello, no. You look 20. Good. I'm happy I actually look my age then. Can you check new Assassin's Creed Shadow? Leftists colonized Japan's history and culture. What? Wait, there's a... Oh, God. Will they just let the Assassin's Creed franchise die? Please. To me, it died back in the Ezio trilogy. That was the last time it was good. Assassin's Creed Shadows. That's their is that the Chinese one? It's made from Ubisoft, so the wokeness is guaranteed. Oh God, rock paper shotgun. No. Is that officially Assassin's Creed Shadows, an open world game set in Japan, will finally be revealed this week. Still making AC games. I wish they weren't. Trans Assassins incoming. They were guaranteed, bro. Oh, God. Trans goes on. I guess we have to go to Rock, Paper, Shotgun to see the woke crap. Fine. I'll accept your damn cookies. Hold on. Let me Control F colonize. Colonize is not actually in the thing. F off, Black Flag was great as a power game. I mean, that's fair. I will say, like, if I had to give an exception, like, Lucy, thank you for $20, my man. Just got done trying to farm Protea Prime relics, and now off to bed. All right, you head to bed, man. I'll have a more in-depth look at this Trench Crusade after work tomorrow. Good to see you again, Asmo. Good to see you again, too, my man. Yeah, and everybody, feel free to look into Trench Crusade. From what little I know of it, it looks fucking amazing. Just really hope these initial signs of wokeness are it. I hope it doesn't actually turn into a battlefield, because God knows it. We need good new settings and fun grimdarks. We don't need more crap. Oh. The 50 French Gaijin attempting to colonize Japanese history. Someone go wake Otoya. Oh, God. The thing is, like, there are plenty of Japanese studios, right, that would love to take an attempt at an Assassin's Creed game. I don't know why Ubisoft... Well, I know why. But... rhetorically speaking, I don't know why Ubisoft doesn't like start letting other studios take a crack at their franchise. They haven't had a unique take on Assassin's Creed in decades. But yeah, as for the Black Flag was good. I'll give you Black Flag. But Syndicate, Unity, 3, there have been way more misses than hits with Assassin's Creed. You can't deny that. Especially when they started making these pseudo-RPG ones. Like, Odyssey sucked. I'm sorry, I hated Odyssey. I couldn't even get past the first, like, half. Not because it was difficult, it's because I hated the format. For me, when I play Assassin's Creed, I prefer traditional Assassin's... Like, if I want to play a pseudo-open-world RPG, I have so many other options that are better designed than Ubisoft's open-world pseudo-RPGs. I play Assassin's Creed for a stealth game experience. That's what I experienced back with Assassin's Creed 1, 2, Revelations, Brotherhood. But I despise what they've done with the franchise over the years. Valhalla, it's a bit of a guilty pleasure out of like the whole. I still stand by that I would have preferred that game not to even be an Assassin's Creed game. Like, I don't know why it needed to be. By all accounts, the only times you remember it's an Assassin's Creed game is when you unsync, which rarely happens, or when they drag you out of the fucking game for you to experience the real-life chick that I really despised. Like, otherwise, it was just a fun Viking simulator. And even then, it stopped being fun after the first 60 hours. Vamplo says, there is no black samurai. Yasuke is a retainer and weapon bearer. In order to be a samurai, you must be a son of a noble warrior family to be samurai. Samurai is birthright, not free from tree. Or free from the tree. That is basic historical fact. So I take from you saying that they have gone in and done the fuck shit. And now that they're portraying... Is that it? Is that what I should be looking up? Shadows, Black, Samurai. For those mad over Yasuke and AC Shadows, I highly recommend the show Shogun. It's based on Shadows. Let's do Yasuke. That's our gaming. Who's Yasuke in Assassin's Creed chat? Is he our main character? Now that you have official 35 Assassin's Creed, formal Assassin's Creed, right? Let's dive into the main protagonist. So, okay, so this is the guy we're playing. Okay. There's probably going to be characters in there, but at least it's not a trans character. That's a joke. It's a joke. It's up, Loken Gavil. How you doing? Holy shit. What the fuck is happening? It's Ubisoft's. Like, this should surprise nobody. Doesn't surprise me. I find it so funny, though. Yasuke, a formerly enslaved person and now renowned samurai, which is not possible, takes center stage in the upcoming open world adventure. I mean, technically you could argue it's possible to be a black, like, you could be like a Ronin character, but even then, typically Ronin were once samurai. But his story could use a little time in the light, so let's learn more about the unique character in the game's world. I don't give a damn. Remember, right, there was an actual Frenchman that fought with a samurai near the end of the era. There's a difference between fighting with the samurai and being one. Like that like being a samurai, you do need to be of noble birth. Like that was a huge trait of the samurai. They were a social class as much as a warrior type within feudal Japan. Like that's Hideyoshi is a case in point. He started out as a peasant in Ashigaru and rose to samurai. Oh, no, maybe my history is wrong. Am I wrong? Pyrrhus I trust to know history, so I'm about to get schooled. No, you don't. Oh, okay. So, my mistake. So this is totally possible. Hideyoshi is a case in point. He started as a peasant, Ashigaru, and rose to samurai, and then full warlord to ruler of Japan. Okay. My bad. I don't know my history. What they don't realize is blackwashing is, in fact, actually racist. It is. That part, I'll stand by. That is racist. But that I've pointed this out many times. The people who typically push the representation bullshit, who wave that flag, are usually the most racist, sexist, phobic people you'll ever meet. Because they have such an obsession with race, sex, and gender identity. But, no, I'll take Pyrrhus's word on this. So, no, you guess it didn't matter. So, from that standpoint, this is possible, I guess. It's very difficult, but during the Sengoku period, it was a major theme as quite a lot of upward mobility that became closed off during the Edo period. So, wait. Alright, so, Pyrrhus, being my history expert, does that mean, depending on the period it was class specific? And then wasn't during another period? Is that the case? Or is it was always something you could earn no matter where you started? Yep, the Frenchmen fought with the samurai in the Last Samurai Rebellion, even got to keep the armor. The movie Last Samurai was very loosely based on that. So Yasuke could have been a samurai as he was a retainer of Oda Nobunaga. It's more period specific. Okay, so in some periods it was a specific social class that you had to be born into. Others it was earned. Okay. Alright, so never mind. This may not be a woke move. It's Ubisoft, so it is, but fundamentally it may not be. So actually, let's read a little bit more before I completely write this off then. Who is Yasuke in Assassin's Creed Shadows? Yasuke, a real-life samurai, underwent a significant rewrite of the story of Assassin's Creed Shadows. In the game, he'll supposedly play the role of a slave traveling across the ocean via a slave ship. Wait, is so this Yasuke, is he crap. Not Afro Samurai. Is he the basis for blanking? Yep, my brain completely blanked on what I wanted to ask. Is it the Afro Samurai? Is he the basis for the Afro Samurai thing? Or no? I'm not giving them money either way. True. I wouldn't, but that's not even like a woke or not thing. That's not even a woke or not thing. Again, Assassin's Creed hasn't been good in a long fucking time. Like, the Ezio trilogy was peak Assassin's Creed. Black Flag was not peak Assassin's Creed, but was definitely peak pirate games. Everything after and in between those things has sucked, for the most part. With a couple of exceptions and bumps in the road with that, but for the most part, it has not been a good franchise. Don't have a excuse me. Don't have a 3D printer. Bought $500 worth of recasts. Damn. Tried to find any source for the Black Samurai. All I found was letters between Jesuit's priests talking about a third priest who sold him. That's it. No Japanese source for the story. It is very woke. Fair enough. Like, I don't know my history on this one, as I've already displayed, so. The Tokugawa shogunate, in an effort to maintain control and order, did make weapon ownership and class structure much more rigid. Okay. History nerds for the win. True. It's good to have one on retainer. I have Pyrrhus on retainer. It's like having a lawyer on retainer. He's my history lawyer. Him being a slave is correct according to the Jesuits. Okay. Though Hideyoshi, the one who started as a peasant, started all that, effectively pulling the ladder up behind him. That tends to happen a lot, doesn't it? Like, people start out in a shitty position, then they get to that higher position, and then they suddenly want it to be exclusive. A certain midget did that. Or tried to do it. Well, got to go walk dog. Have a good one. You too, Dragon Master. And again, thank you for the generosity, man. Much appreciated. What if you like the suck? Are you shaming the people who like the suck? Depending. Let's see. Yasuke, a real-life samurai in the game. He'll supposedly play the role of a slave traveling across the ocean via a slave ship when an unknown force suddenly... So we know wokeness is going to be in here regardless. It's Ubisoft. In the heat of battle, everyone, including the man's lover, is slain in battle. Everyone except for Yasuke, who is rescued and transported to Japan. There he learns how to become a samurai under the tutelage of the famous Nobunaga. Assassin's Creed Shadows, Yasuke will inevitably ally with Nao in an effort to oversee Japan's unification. Alright, well, Assassin's Creed Shadows feature multiple protagonists. Yes, you will play as both Yasuke, the samurai, and Nao, a shinobi. Yasuke is likely to be more of a frontline fighter, a focus on combat. Alternatively, Nao likely allows for more stealth-oriented gameplay as in the past Assassin's Creed titles. So wait, big question I have there is it like you pick one at the start of the game and you stick with it? Or is it like this mission you play as Yasuke, this mission you play as Nao? That's a very important question. I'm still not getting it out of the way, but I would like to know. As a shinobi, a ninja, she'll skull. Doesn't everybody know that these are equivalents now? She'll skulk in the shadows and attack from above. While indeed not the first female protagonist in the franchise, see Cassandra... Wait, what? Wait, so Nao is a female character. Okay. There were female shinobi, but they were, kunoichi. Or do I have that wrong? Paris, correct me on this if I am. But from my understanding, female shinobi were kunoichi, and most of the time they were kind of like femme fatales. Like, they oftentimes took up positions for assassinations in terms of, like, poisoning drinks or, like, spitting poison needles and stuff. Like, they as far as I know, they didn't do, like, infiltration missions in regards to, like, how we typically think of shinobi and ninja, where, like, they're sneaking in with, like, the black robes and stuff and jumping down and doing the neck slice thing. You know, they pretended to be, like, geisha or entertainers and stuff like that, and they would poison drinks, or, yeah, they blended in those kind of positions. That was my understanding of kunoichi. They didn't do, like, what the male shinobi did. Like, male shinobi did, like, the sneak in through the roof tiles and shit and assassinate people. That's my understanding. I could be wrong. I was wrong about the earlier thing about the samurai being a caste as opposed to an earnable position. So, again, Pierce, if you're still here, feel free to correct me on this one. They used seduction to assassinate the targets. That was, again, that's my historical understanding. But I was wrong earlier, so kind of want to be corrected if I am. If I am incorrect, but I think I'm correct in my understanding. So that's definitely already if my understanding is not incorrect, that's already a bit of wokeness right there. Is just a normal shinobi. Now, granted, I don't think that's inherently a bad thing to do in terms of a historical twist. I mean, it's not the worst thing, but we all know they're going to do it in a woke way. Like, they're not going to just do it and have fun with it. They're going to do it and then put a huge spotlight on it. She's probably going to be, like, the only one who isn't, like, a geisha-style kunoichi, that kind of thing. Like, as it is with Yasuke, I'm expecting a shit ton of, like, racism cards and stuff being pulled, as annoying as it's going to be. So, like, as it is, this is already sounding like the perfect recipe for a very annoying game with the preachiness. I mean, there could be, yes, but the real history of Shinobi slash ninja is complicated, as all the black robe stuff is largely fiction. Shinobi is a job and has more to do with the spycraft. Think CIA. And yeah, I can guarantee you, she's not going to be that. She is going to be choke slamming full-grown men left and right. Yeah, and again, like, you can do that in fiction and it be fun, as long as you actually have fun with it, right? Like, I'm willing. It's a video game, and it's all Assassin's Creed games are historical fiction, so I'm willing to let a lot of things go. But I'm only willing to let them go if you have fun with it, right? Like, you don't take it too seriously. Yeah, like this internally, it should be serious and consistent, but in terms of like, the characters playing off each other or the characters how they handle situation, have fun with it, Have her have a little bit of a femme fatale kunoichi kind of feel, as well as be like that crazy shinobi. Just, you don't need, like, what I already sense, and it could just be my bias of dealing with wokeness all the time and knowing Ubisoft, but what I'm already sensing is there's going to be a lot of characters who are going to be like, oh, this is a dark man. Like, they're going to treat, like, Yasuke like that, and they're going to treat Nao like, woman out of her place. Like, they're going to... I feel that coming off just from the descriptions, and again, knowing how bad Ubisoft has been getting with the politics lately. But who knows? Like, there's a slight part of me that wants the... I'm not going to get it either way, so this is just my hope in terms of the people who are going to get it. I do have a little bit of hope that because the pendulum is swinging culture right now, and hopefully Ubisoft is paying attention, but they're a bunch of French bastards, so they're probably not paying attention. But there's a little sliver of hope in me that this isn't going to be cringe, and they're just going to have fun with it. And if they do that, and again, Yasuke is, yeah, I guess historically accurate to an extent, then, again, I can kind of work with it. But it depends. Again, have fun with it. Don't be overly serious. And definitely don't be, like, pounding on the whole race and gender thing like I think they're gonna. Ugh. Oh. I get a bad vibe immediately. Also, her jaw will be more manly than the guy's, probably. That's another thing. Like, what happened to Bayonetta's, What happened to fictional, like, female characters that were sexy and also badass? Like, you can do both. And you can do both without making the guys around them look incompetent. Whatever happened to that? What happened to the Red Sonjas of fiction? I'll tell you what, the woke came in and fucking drowned their asses. Alright, I'm already kind of losing my voice here. So, yeah, just reading what we have so far. I mean, again, I retract my... it doesn't make sense for, my samurai comment was completely wrong, admittedly. I am curious. I'm not really curious. I'm pretty confident with how bad Ubisoft has been with the wokeness lately, that this is going to be cringe as shit with how they're going to pull it. Hopefully I'm wrong, but it's Ubisoft. Don't forget Ada Wong's as well. Oh, God. Yeah. There's so much porn of Ada Wong. You all know why I know that. Sad thing is, it's not even because I looked it up. I know too many coomers. Oh my god, Ada Wong's so sexy. He's like, can you stop sharing this on my Discord? Please and thank you. Oh god, yeah. Most of the Resident Evil characters have a lot of that crap. Liara, oh god. Suffer not the cumer to live. I have to suffer them because that's like a tenth of my community. They can be insufferable. There's so many fucking many of them. Don't get me wrong, like, to be fair to some of the coomers, it's fine to have like an attraction and to have a type and to be like, yeah, this character's like super cool and I think she's sexy and stuff. It's when you get to the point where you're constantly sharing like thirst trap images and softcore porn images, and it's just sometimes straight up porn images. of like these characters and stuff is like, okay, fuck off. You've gotten to a point where you're oversharing. To be fair, you're kind of oversharing when you just describe, like, oh, I wish she would step on me. It's like, get out of here, please. Jesus Christ. Whatever happened to just talking about women in terms of your attractiveness, just as far as, yeah, I think she's sexy. Here's a quick reason why. Moving on. You know, like, Coomers, man. Like, he's just like, hey, here's 3,000 images of Chun-Li in these tight leggings and these poses. Good God, man. Get a girlfriend. Fucking heck. Contain the Coomers to a pre-designated Coomer containment server. Yeah, I have a no. Well, it's not really a no nudes rule. It's a please don't be Coomers kind of rule. It's like you can have an attraction to a female character and all that. You can have your reasons. You can talk a little bit about it. I'm not gonna stop you from talking about it. But again, it's just that. It's that Coomer habit of being like, hey, here's 5,000 images of this super muscular woman. It's like, I can feel you from within the screen touching yourself. Stop. Oh, God. It's fine to have a fetish. It's not fine to share and force others to partake your fetish. Yes, thank you. That's actually the best way to put it. Fine. Have your fetish. Leave me out of it. I've had real girlfriends. I've had real sex. I'm good. Thank you. Here's how the fem stories are. Oh, God. Has anybody shared with you the Woodnut Insider song yet? No. And I'm not looking that up because the way that's being posed. Leave me out of it. My dear song, Margaret. Coming in with emojis. Oh, God. It's funny. I might look it up then. If it's funny in relation to this, but it's not creepy in relation to this, I might look it up. It's kind of a person who gets a semi when they hear the female. Oh, God damn it. Yeah. On YouTube. Okay, I'll look it up. I'll look it up real quick. I will say this stream has gone on longer than I expected, so I will be wrapping up. Oh, Turgor made a lore video on it. On Trench Crusade, I mean. I might check that out. What the fuck, YouTube? Really? YouTube is listening to us. Like, I mentioned the Coomer shit, and it's got a Coomer video. They're starting to recommend them to me now. Thank you, guys, for bringing it up. I appreciate it. Now my recommendeds are screwed. You freaking cretins. Alright. Does have Coomer nuns? Oh. Really? Coomer Spy. YouTube legit has softcore. Every platform has that shit now. Twitch started. Have you seen the Morningstar The Hunt Part 1 video? I don't think so. If I have, the name's not triggering any memories. And they don't remove the shit you report. Yeah, don't even get me started. I've reported like 6 videos that I've seen. 2 of them because they're... I'm not even going to mention that because YouTube might take the stream down just for me mentioning the reason. But let's just say it involves kids and a guy describing his thoughts on kids. I reported the videos and I also went a bit further than that. But yeah, those videos never got taken down, as far as I know. And that was like last year. The other videos I reported because they're basically porn. And they shouldn't be on the plane. Yeah, that's the right emoji, Havoc. I reported 6 videos in the last 2 years, and 2 of them have been because of that. And as far as I know, YouTube never took them down, but they hopefully did since I last checked. But what was I looking up? Wood nut and cider. Okay. Real quick question. If I click on this, will this get me demonetized? Which I'm not as worried about that, but will it get the stream taken down? Is this copyrighted? The second one? Okay. Am I gonna regret this? I'm probably gonna regret this. Okay. Note to self. I'm gonna send this to Shadow. He's a cumer right now. It's funny. Okay, I'll give it that. It's funny, but what the fuck? Morningstar, The Hunt, some Exodite creators. Oh, was it also snatched by Games Workshop again? Like the Exodite was? Okay. I'm assuming it's not on YouTube, but if I look it up. The Hunt. Oh no, I've seen okay, I have seen this. I have seen this. No, I have. As you guys can tell by the watch bar, I've seen this. It looks fucking cool. I will say that. It looks fucking cool. Yeah, this is if you want something that's basically 40k but not legally speaking, check the it's cool. I'll put it like that. It's fucking cool. It gave me Astartes vibes in terms of like the quality, for sure. Overall aesthetics really damn cool. Yeah, I have seen this. It's cool. As far as I know, there's no part 2 yet, is there? Bracken. Yeah, it's just the part 1. I have seen it though. I have seen it. I just didn't recognize the name when you said it. Isn't that the guy who made Astartes? No, I don't think so. Siama Peterson is the one who made Astartes. As far as I know. Yeah, I think this, if it's made by the same people who made Exodite, it's definitely not the Simon Peterson. Because Simon Peterson didn't work on Exodite. As far as I know. I could be wrong to an extent on that, but. Battle Sledge, 39,999. It's like legally distinct 40k, so we don't get screwed. Sexy as fuck's animation. It is. It is very good. If you guys have not seen it, go check it out. Again, I have, so I'm just going to simply say, if you haven't checked it out, add to that 1.4 million views and add to that likes, because it is sexy animation. It is very good. Sorry, this guy fell off the map after JB picked him up. Yeah, I mean, it's been this. The sad thing is he's been speculated to have worked on several of the really cool trailers that have come out for 40k of it, like the Horse Heresy trailer. Almost everybody's convinced, including myself, that he did that. But as far as I've seen, he's not been credited anywhere. Like, that's a weird thing. In fact, if you notice anything with the GW Warhammer Plus stuff, the contributions and like the credits are really fucking void. Like they credit themselves, obviously. Like, oh, this is brought to you by Games Workshop. But then if you actually look at like the who worked on it thing, it's like executive producers, and then it doesn't mention like hardly anybody else. It's creepy. It's creepy, right? It's almost like they fucking like found the guy, like Rogue Hod like tied him up and then dragged him to some like cell with nothing but a computer built for like animation software and like cut him off from the internet. Like, they've just been feeding him in that cell with like little Subway sandwiches and shit for like a couple of days. Like, what the hell happened? They don't put Astartes in the gulag. They done put Astartes in the gulag, pretty much. I don't know. It's weird. It's weird what happened to that. Like, I was on Simon Peterson's Patreon for a while too. Nothing about the Hell's Reach guy either. I mean, not since that Blood Angels thing he did. Like, we knew he did that, and then since then, nothing. It's weird. Like, as soon as GW seems to pick you up for, you know, to take your fan-made projects and put it on their stuff, we all know under legal threat of being sued to death. And I don't know, it's weird. It's kind of creepy and eerie how, like, I guess they've been forced to write a contract of some kind. I'm assuming it's some really hyped up version of an NDA where, strictly speaking, Simon Peterson and all his like are just not allowed to say anything. And I guess they're also, my guess is there's a non-compete clause in whatever they were forced to sign, and it's like a super hyper aggressive version of a non-compete where it's like, hey, not only can you not compete with 40K in any project you make, but you can't make any other animations because your animation style cannot be recognized with anything other than 40K. I imagine it's something that fucking ridiculous, which, by the way, legally in the United States, that is not enforceable. Because an animation style cannot be, legally speaking, copywritten. Specific works can be copyrighted, but a style or a technique or a skill cannot be. At least in the United States. And I don't think in the UK it can either, but there I'd be just guessing because I don't actually know the UK's laws around that kind of copyright stuff. So, yeah. I got a weird vibe about like how like Sodaz at the very least has been working on like Fallout animations and stuff, which I've been wondering if those are going to get hit with the whole new Amazon TV show out. But I'm kind of got my fingers crossed that Amazon won't bother and we'll leave them alone, which is kind of fucked up that I have more of a belief that Amazon will leave people alone for fan projects than I do. And they're a big multi-trillion-dollar company at this point. But fucking GW will go after anybody they so much as sniff making a money generating project. Like fucking like a rabid dog. It has been creepy. It has been a creepily eerie environment. Close the T28 Discord for the night. 2 ADHD in there for this scale. Skelly. Fair enough, lady. My good lady. I'm not even in it, so I can't comment. In their eyes, they do all of the hard work themselves. No humans were involved, and they were in their production. I'd like not to think so, but it honestly, like the Warhammer Plus stuff has kind of given that vibe for me. It genuinely has. Like everything that's come out of GW in terms of Warhammer Plus, like granted, I yo-hoed a lot of it, but from what I was able to catch, a good chunk of it did have no credits or next to no credits. But anyway, I have been going for a while, and we've covered a lot more than I intended to on the stream. Honestly, I expected the stream to be like 40 minutes of just like, all right, trench tales. Don't run away from your hobbies because they're gonna follow you no matter wherever you go and take over whatever you take. So you better you got to find at least one place you're gonna stand your ground. So like, that was what I expected to be this stream, but it turned into a lot more than that. So yeah, Trent's Crusade is looking really cool. There's a bit of optimism, but also a few red flags around it. But yeah, I'm gonna wrap up the stream. Again, check out Wheezy's video on it. It's a pretty damn good video. It's worth going to support his ass. But yeah, I need to go to bed. I got work tomorrow. And I got stuff I gotta work on. I got videos to make. I got edits. My plate is full. My plate is very, very full. But yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Bye-bye.